Alright guys, so I got the rear strut out and I'm gonna replace it with a new one. So when you get the new strut, it's pretty much under tension. So what you want to do is in your way, just push this back in and then move it counterclockwise and it comes out fully extended. Want to make sure that it pretty much stays nice and clean. And so yeah, in order for me to do this job, I have to use this spring compressor. So this spring compressor you could either buy, rent, or borrow from any auto parts store. And it's pretty simple. You're going to pull these pins back on both sides. And you're going to put the springs inside of these notches. And you're going to put them on opposite ends of the spring. And then once this catches, the bolt catches it, you're going to be screwing it down till it catches the top. And then as you keep screwing it down with either a socket wrench or your impact wrench, it'll start pushing it down. And you push one side a bit, then you move to the other side, you push that side a bit. And that's pretty much how you and you keep doing that until you compress the spring enough to where it's just and you keep doing that until there's a gap in between the upper part of the coil and the upper bushing housing right here. And then you can loosen it up, or you can just completely compress it all the way as far as you can. You can go further. I just usually do it till there's like a small gap, and then after that, and once you have clearance there, then you can go ahead and start taking off the upper bolt right there, and then everything pretty much just comes off, and then you put it back on. And then you put everything back on backwards onto the new strut. And yeah, it's pretty simple. And then you can go ahead and reattach the strut to the car. Just a quick tip: to be able to line up your coils properly up with your rubber mounts, just get some white out. Just get some white out or anything that'll make a mark to be able to see afterwards, and just line them up. Line up your coil to your rubber mounting hardware so that way when you put it back on, it matches and you have no issues. Alright guys, so I compressed the coil. Hopefully you can see that, but once there's space in between the coil and the upper rubber mounting, then that means that it's good to come off. Also on the bottom, before they were flush, the metal was completely touching the rubber. So that means it's uncompressed, and now I can take off the upper nut here. So when you put on the coil compressor, it doesn't necessarily have to be completely compressed. You can go halfway, make sure everything's on correctly and it's safe, and then you can take it off and just try to do everything carefully and slowly, because you got to remember the coil right now is under tension. So if you mess up, you drop the coil while you're walking in between your workrooms or your workroom in your garage, and that drops, it can come loose, it could break off, and then that coil could really do damage, so just be careful. Alright guys, so I had to do a few things, and I found out a few things. Now, let me start off. When I had to take out the top nut, I guess the shaft, or yeah, the rod, it kept spinning, so I had to put a pair of vice grips on it to hold it, and then I was able to loosen up the top bolt. I also found out that whenever I drove my car, it felt very bouncy in the back, and it was also hearing some type of screeching noise, which kind of proved my thought when I was trying to take off the nut you having to use the vice grips, was that the shaft was just loose. It was kind of broken, but it ended up being the coil. I'm sure you can see that. But that's where the coil broke. That part right there is where this was attached to that, and so it was sitting flush against the rubber hardware right here. You can still see some of the metal parts on there still attached to the rubber. Anyway, and also, taking off this rubber mount, I had to first take off this bolt, and so it was attached like that. After I took off the bolt, this metal part was still on there very tight, so I put the bolt back inside. I thought maybe it was still compressed, so I was a little bit nervous. So for my safety, I put this bolt back inside, and so it was still it was on the threads. And then I used just a key wrench and just hit the back of it, and then this just came loose. Then it just started coming loose. So then I pulled that off. And then this was still attached to the coil, like it wasn't coming loose. So I had to do the same thing. I grabbed the wrench and I gave it a smack. And I smacked it right on the rubber mounting, maybe 2 or 3 times, and it started coming loose. And now you can see it's completely loose and it'll come off. I just have to lift it up, and I'm using one hand. I have to lift the whole thing, and then I can take this off. But yeah, so now it came loose. If one of the symptoms for your car and for you wanting to do your repairs isn't just that the rear end of your car is kind of bouncy, and you start hearing screechy noises, and you look under your car and you can't find anything that's broken, that's the reason. It's your coil. Your coil most likely broke. I could not see it underneath the car because completely compressed, this part of the metal is completely flush with the rubber mount, and this metal piece was sitting underneath, so most likely you wouldn't be able to see it. Now if this was still attached and good, this would be flush to the rubber mount, and then this would be a little bit more separated from this part, just like how these springs are. This part would have been the part that would have been flush to the rubber housing here. Alright guys, so I went out and I bought a quick strut. There's the old strut, there's a broken coil right above it, and this is the new quick strut. It pretty much comes attached with the coil and the strut and all the mounting hardware already attached to the strut itself. So the quick strut costs $130 at my local auto parts store, and the naked strut costs $65. If you want this job to be quick, or if you don't have the necessary tools, then I would just go ahead and buy the quick strut. It is about double the price of what the naked strut would cost. But like I said, if you're in a pinch, like you don't have that much time, or you just don't have all the necessary tools, then you just go ahead and buy the quick strut, take out the old one, put the new one in, and you're done. If you want to save twofold on the price, then I would just consider buying a naked strut, and then getting a coil compressor, and then moving the necessary parts from the old strut onto the new strut.